What is up, everybody? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, I gotta say, after playing Baldur's Gate 3 for about 20 hours, my first impressions are insanely good, and I just want to say right out the gate, if you were a fan of any kind of turn-based tactical strategy, RPG, any game that's in this genre, if you like those kind of games and you play them, you like a great story, you like dialogue, all these things, turn-based combat, you are doing yourself a huge disservice if you either sleep on this game, don't give it a shot, don't try it. It is a game of, I would say, a game of the decade. I mean, we haven't seen a game with this much detail, this much depth, this much content, and just, like, to do. It's so hard to explain. There is so much to this game, so many ways to play it. You have so much replayability, and there is so many choices. Things you wouldn't even think about that you can do in other games, you can do in this game. You could play this game for the rest of the year and probably not do everything there is. So if you're looking for that type of game, or you have an interest in that, consider giving this game a try. If you can get it on Steam, you got the refund policy if you end up not liking it, the 2 hours. But I would highly, highly recommend this game. And it's insane, because we don't get games like this very often. It's very, very not common. We don't see these. These are like every 5 to 10 years we see a game of this depth and this nature. So Baldur's Gate 3 is it's phenomenal. It offers the player so much choice, so many options. The combat feels great. If you're a fan of D&D or you've ever played D&D, you understand a lot of the mechanics. But then again, you don't have to really play D&D or know a lot about it either to get a grasp of the game or play it. I'm aware of D&D. I understand some of the rules and how it plays. I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but nothing too major. So I'm not really a D&D player, like, at all. Like, I barely played it, so it translated to me very well. I understand it. It just takes a little bit of a hurdle to get over at the beginning, maybe to understand some of the systems and why you're rolling dice and how the game works. But combat is honestly only a third of the game. It's one part of the game. There is so much going on. I mean, you can avoid combat through dialogue. You can get into combat through dialogue. Dialogue itself is so interesting because, unlike other games that have dialogue choices, you can end the conversation relatively easily or quick, and you can't go back and do your other dialogue options. If you play games like Mass Effect or other dialogue heavy games where you could just ask all the questions and then hit the one pivotal answer to move on, there's a lot of trees that'll end it, a lot of dialogue that will end it. So you really want to ask what you want to ask when you're picking your dialogue options, because you could miss out on key information that will actually make the quest easier or harder, or even open up quests, open up hidden secret areas. You'll find stashes. I mean, the game's always doing all these checks like perception and stuff, and you're using your character, the character you talk with, to the NPC greatly influences a lot of things. So, for example, you have a really good rogue who's an origin character that you get, and he's really good at dialogue because he's a rogue. So he can figure out if people are trying to scam you or swindle you or trick you. He has the techniques to figure that out, where if you pick a warrior or somebody that's not, as aware or, able to detect those things, you could easily get ambushed. People can steal your money in dialogue while you're not paying attention. I mean, there's so many outcomes that can happen, and I don't think any playthrough you do is going to be the same, even the way combat happens and the way you approach combat. So it's really hard to explain everything. I could sit here for easily an hour to try to go into detail about all the little systems in this game and how it's just not a traditional game you would expect. If you've played the Divinity games, you get a good idea of how this game will be. If you played, Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 that Larian Studios also made. But this game also has its own identity, and it's very different than the Divinity games. It's not just a one-to-one, it's just Baldur's Gate, it's D&D Divinity style, It actually borrows the majority of what it is from D&D. So overall, it's just a game that I highly recommend people try. It's a game that I myself plan on playing for a long time, and I do plan to cover more on the game in the future, do some more content, see how that kind of goes, and just dabble with the game and have fun. So basically, the point of this video was just to give people the idea that this game exists, maybe, you know, get their curiosity, pique their curiosity, gauge interest, you know, because a lot of times people, you might not find a game, you know, you might not know it exists. And that's kind of what this video is about, just to spread awareness for those of you that look at this and go, wow, this might be interesting. And this could keep you busy for the majority of the year. I kid you not. It's easily, the devs say it's about a 70 to 80 hour game. You could easily spend 100 before you beat it your first time. And then you got all the replay value of doing the different choices, making the different decisions, going down the different paths. Heck, just playing a different class. So building your team differently. So overall, I think this game's amazing. I think it's a must-play, and I hope other people that have never played any of these games check it out and give it a chance, and maybe they'll find a game that really caters to them. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, later guys. Peace out. Have a good one.